Hey, what is up guys, Ashbfc here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at forgotten games of my childhood. Yeah, I picked out 10 games that I basically sort of forgotten about for the most part, but games I used to love playing as a kid, and games I just haven't played in years. So yeah, you know, they're pretty obscure for the most part. I mean, some people may recognise some of them, but there may be some that people have never even heard of, but hopefully maybe I'll just get at least one person to go, holy shit, I remember that game. And yeah, so let's take a look. Alright, so first up it's Road Rash, the original, which was released on the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis way back in 1991. But yeah, I never actually owned a copy of this game myself. I had a friend who lived just around the corner, and I remember I used to always go around to his and play it. I remember he used to have his gaming set up in his shed in his back garden, which was really weird. I remember a bunch of us used to always just cram in there and just sit around playing this game, because it was crazy. You could punch people off their bikes. I mean, I'd never seen that before. I mean, there was Super Hang-On before this that I used to play, but you know, try hanging on after you've just been clocked in the face. So much fun, so much fun. I like the funky music as well, and when you crashed, you like skidded across the floor. You gotta run back to your bike with that little funny run he does. It was just hilarious. And I'm pretty sure you could get different weapons as well, like a chain or a bat or something. But yeah, it was just all about punching people off. I think you had to come in like the top 3 of every race to proceed, and you had to be careful you didn't damage your bike too much. And if you couldn't afford to repair it, then it'd be like game over. And like I remember the cops had come after you as well, because you're like in illegal races. You gotta be careful you don't bust you. But yeah, I just loved just punching the crap out of people and crashing and going flying off my bike. So much fun. I mean, I was never any good at this game. I was terrible, but yeah, it was very unique at the time, and I loved it very much so. And wow, 1991, and I do believe there was Road Rash 2, and then I think there was a Road Rash 3D on the Nintendo 64, which was terrible as far as I'm aware. But I don't believe there's been a Road Rash since like 2003 or something like that. Maybe a Game Boy Advanced port, but I would love to see a Road Rash come back in some shape or form. There might be some other games out there that have a similar format, similar style, but I know there's definitely not been a Road Rash for quite some years, and yeah, I'd love to see Road Rash come back. Alright, next up it's Tecmo World Wrestling for the NES back in 1990. Now, oh, I loved this game so much as a kid. It was the first NES game I ever played, which makes it possibly the first video game I ever played. I'm not entirely sure about that, but yeah, me and my brother loved this. We used to always take it around to a friend of ours' house who they didn't have a console or anything like that, so we used to just bring this and take my wrestling round, and we used to just play it all day, just sat in front of the TV, seeing who could lock in the giant swing. That was one of the moves. It was the only real move you know to pull off. You could grab your opponent by the legs, swing them around straight outside the ring, and we thought it was the most amazing and hilarious thing ever. That's all we used to do, just be giant swinging each other all day. It was hilarious, and it was actually a really solid wrestling game. Quite a lot of different moves as well, but now we only cared for the giant swing, because you know, it was so much fun, because we were hardcore wrestling fans back then, and yeah, it was just some crazy times, and I really need to see if I can buy myself a copy of this game. I imagine it'll be hard to find, but yeah, I really want to go back and play this game and see if it's as fun as I remember, and see if I can lock in that giant swing. Oh, some great memories. Ah yes, Lego Island from 1997 for the PC. I remember this game. I love this game as a kid, because I mean, come on, what kid doesn't love Lego? But yeah, I think this was like one of the first Lego games ever released, if I'm right. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, it ran like crap on my computer all the way back then. I had a terrible computer. It must have been like running at like 10 frame rates per second, but I didn't really know it since I was a kid. But I remember the voices of the characters, they were like sped up times 10, because I must have had a bad sound card or something, or incompatibility issues, and yeah, they sound like chipmunks, and I couldn't understand what they were saying for the most part, so I had to kind of figure the game out on my own. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I mean, it was just an open island. You could go around, go in buildings, the police station. You could build a race car and race on the tracks, build a jet ski and go skiing, and build a helicopter. And there's a few missions and stuff you could do, and you could play. There was like a bit of a story, and there was a character called the Brickster that you escaped. I remember that's as far as I could get. He escaped and started stealing all the bricks, and you've got to stop him, and I could never do it. And yeah, I think you always had to start again from the beginning, or if I don't know if there was a save thing, and if there was, I didn't realise it. But yeah, I spent a lot of time playing this game as a kid. Very fun Lego game when you was a kid, and yeah, 1997. Next up, it's Talmadge Adventure, which I used to own on the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. Now, I remember my mum brought me this game home randomly one day, so many years ago, and I ended up loving it. It's so wacky and bizarre. I mean, it's like a side-scroller, and you jump on things' heads like we've seen in the past with many old games back then. But I don't know, there's some sort of weird uniqueness to it, and it took me years to finally remember. It wasn't actually that long ago when I finally, found this game again, because I couldn't remember the name of it, because it was best known as Marvel Land everywhere else, I believe. I think Talmadge Adventure was just the UK name. But yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. I loved the funky music. And I can remember I could never beat it because I always think I used to get to the last boss. I remember the boss fights were they were pretty unique. It wasn't just jump on the boss's head and deal out damage. I think there was like a series of mini games and stuff. I'm pretty sure one was like a rock paper scissors format, and I think the final boss, who was I think was like called the Mole King or something. You played a game of whack-a-mole with him, but I think he was also one of the moles that popped up and stuff. But yeah, it was very bizarre and wacky. As you can see, it basically takes place, all the levels are like in a theme park, which is why I think it was called Marvel Land. That was the name of the actual place. But yeah, very wacky, bizarre game, and yeah, like I said, I could not figure out for the life of me the name of this game, and yeah, I finally found it, and I can play it again, and yeah, really crazy. I don't think anyone will probably remember this game, but if you do, then that's awesome. Alright, next up it's Hidden and Dangerous from 1999. I believe it was released on the PC, Dreamcast and PlayStation. It was the PC version I had. But yeah, this is just a random pickup. Years ago I was just in a game store, and I think I found it in the bargain bin or something, and I was into anything World War II, so I just saw the cover of this game and thought, I'm having that. But yeah, it turned out to be very different to most games I've been playing back then. It was like a third-person squad-based game with tactical elements. It was basically all about sneaking around. I mean, I think you were part of the SAS or something, and you would drop behind enemy lines, and all the missions were like sabotage missions and rescue missions and stuff. And yeah, you had to I think you had an overview map of the area, and you could scope out where the enemies were. You need to learn their positions and kind of stay out of sight as much as possible, because I remember it being really hard. I sucked at this game. I mean, just a couple of shots and one of your squad mates would be dead, and you could just find yourself with just one guy left, which made it almost impossible. But yeah, it was really good. I remember you could customise your loadout before you started, like which weapons you wanted and stuff. If you wanted to more powerful weapons or more stealthy weapons like snipers, and what sort of explosives you wanted. And yeah, you do missions like blowing up a rail track, blowing up guns, blowing up fuel depots and stuff. I think some missions had times on them as well. But yeah, it was a very fun game, but very hard, very, very hard. But I do believe there was a sequel, Hidden Dangerous 2, although I never played it. But yeah, this was a great game from what I can remember, and I should go back and play this game sometime. Alright, next up it's Theme Park. I think it's one of the first park simulator games ever made. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's definitely the first one I played. It was by Bullfrog, Peter Molyneux's old company, and I used to love all their games. I used to love all the simulated games, but this was so awesome. I mean, I loved theme parks as a kid, and you got to build your own theme park. What's not to love about that? It was awesome. I mean, I sucked at this game because I didn't quite understand it. I mean, obviously you've got to build a theme park that's profitable and stuff. And yeah, I just get bankrupting myself every time. But I just love watching people come. Buses used to pull up, people get out and come to your theme park, and you'd set all your rides out, and you had to manage it properly, make sure you're making profit, make sure the rides are well maintained. Otherwise, I seem to recall them, they smoke and blow up, which won't be good for your reputation. And you see little guests buying balloons and queuing up for your ride, spinning around in teacups, sometimes start crying. But yeah, it was just so much fun, getting handymen to go around making sure they cleaned up and stuff, getting security guards to prevent crime. It was just so much fun watching your little theme park come to life. I'm pretty sure it was the Sega Mega Drive. If it wasn't the Sega Mega Drive version of it, it was the Super Nintendo, but I think it came out on the Sega Saturn, PlayStation and PC and Mac. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Bullfrog used to be one of the best developers in my eyes, and yeah, this was one of my favourite games of theirs as a kid. So much fun, so much fun. Build your own theme park. Awesome. Alright, so next up is a game I'd almost completely forgotten about until a few weeks ago when I accidentally discovered it on the Steam store, and that's Commandos Behind Enemy Lines, which was released on the PC way back in '98. And yeah, I love this game so much. I had a friend who used to live down the road, and we were both obsessed with this game. He actually used to pay me to borrow this game, which is very bizarre, but I just showed how much we loved it. But yeah. So it has the old isometric view to it. Takes place in World War II, and you control a squad of British commandos, and each one has their own ability. Like you've got the Green Berets, like your strength guy, you can lift heavy objects. You've got like the sniper, you've got the spy, who can wear many disguises, the driver that handles the vehicles, and then the swimmer that can control the boats. You had to like utilize each of their unique abilities. It was really cool. I think actually some of the missions were kind of based on real life missions, but there were a lot of like sabotage missions, assassination missions, rescue informants. It was really good, and it was incredibly hard though. I mean, few shots and your guys were dead, and it was very easy to get spotted. Enemies all over the place. You had to really plan your routes and stuff. Very tactical game, but oh yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it so much. And there was a few sequels. I did play the other two after this, which was I think was Beyond the Call of Duty was the second one. Then there was Commandos 2. I never played the third, but I do believe there was a fourth, but that was kind of a first-person shooter, I believe, which I never played. But yeah, I'd love to see a proper Commandos 4. It'd be awesome. I love this game so much. And now I get to play it again because it's on the Steam store, so that's awesome. Love it.
Just leave it to me.
And next up is a game that I think some people should be familiar with, and that's Rollercoaster Tycoon from 1999 on the PC. Oh my god, I can't tell you how many hours I put into this game. I think this is one of the best simulation games ever. Definitely the best park simulator. It had a lot more realistic approach to the things like you'd seen in like Theme Park World and things like the Bullfrog games. And it had this really easy, simple interface to use. Very easy to use. Very straightforward, but there was loads of different customization you could do. You could build your own roller coasters, change the colour of them. It was crazy. Just managing your own theme park was awesome. So much to do, and you had like objectives to do all these different parks, like get a certain amount of guests in your park by a certain year, increase the park value, get a certain park rate, and you had to deal with like unhappy guests puking all over the place. Make sure you're making a profit. You can manage all the price, like entry prices, all the different rides prices. You had to be careful that your rides didn't get too old, because sometimes they'd like break down, and sometimes the roller coaster would crash and go off the rails and stuff, which would kill people and bring your park rating down. There's so much you could do. Absolutely brilliant simulation management game. I absolutely loved it. It was actually by a British designer called Chris Sawyer, and there was actually some real life theme parks here in England that were included in this game. One being Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is a park I used to go to a lot as a kid. But yeah, such an amazing game. And it carried on for a little while. There was a couple of expansion packs that were really good, and then there was a second fully fledged sequel, although it was kind of exactly the same. They just added a 2 on the end. But then there was a Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, which I briefly played, and that was very different. It was a different developers. It had a kind of a 3D style to it, and you could ride the rides like you could in Theme Park World. But it seemed okay from what I played. I think there was a couple of expansions for that. And I do believe not too long ago 3 was re-released on the 3DS, Rollercoaster Tycoon 3D, but apparently it sucks. But I would absolutely love a Rollercoaster Tycoon 4, but kind of take it old school, go back to kind of what the original was like. That would be amazing, because I absolutely love this game. Absolutely brilliant. Alright, next up, another game that I spent way too much time playing and not enough time playing outside with the other kids. Theme Hospital from 1997, a Bullfrog game again, the work of Peter Molyneux again. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about this game. It's amazing. I found it on the PSN store a little while ago, which reminded me of it. Oh my god, this game is one of the best games ever. It was just so much fun. I mean, there was so many like theme park and all these simulation games, but this you got to run your own hospital. And it was so much fun. Again, because it was a Bullfrog game, it did not take itself seriously whatsoever. Kind of very over-the-top style of humour. You had all these illnesses like the uncommon cold, bloated head where people have big heads, people with slack tongues that had to have them sliced off. I think there was like one called hairyitis or something where people were really hairy, and there's like an Elvis personality where people thought they were Elvis and had to go to the psychiatrist. And you could build all that stuff. You could build like a GP's office and diagnosis and wards and pharmacies and psychiatric clinics and all that stuff. It was so funny and so much fun. But it got really hard and Celtic as the game went on. I could never beat this game. I could only get to about mission 5 or so, and then it got too much because you had to like deal with people dying, and you had to get like all the best doctors and nurses and stuff, and it was kind of hard to buy them all because you make sure you had a good budget and you were making money, and you had emergencies coming, people that needed treating quickly, and you had to take risks, and inspectors were coming round, and people puking and taking a crap on the floor, and mice running around, and oh, it was crazy, but so much fun. And oh man, I need to go back and play this game because I had so much fun playing this as a kid back in 1997. But yeah, I'm sure some people should know about this. I actually just looked it up, and it sold 4 million copies. I didn't realise it got that popular, so I'm sure some people will be familiar with Theme Hospital. If you aren't, go and download it on the PlayStation Network, because it's a hell of a game. Go play it. Amazing. And finally, it's another Bullfrog game, and how dare I forget about this game. This game was so amazing. I used to play it as a kid. It's Dungeon Keeper 2 from 1999. I actually played this one first, didn't play the original Dungeon Keeper till quite a lot later. But oh my god, I love this game. I remember seeing a friend of mine, I went round to his house and he was playing it. I was like, what the hell is that game? It looks awesome. And it's like, it's Dungeon Keeper 2, dude. I was like, what's that? And it looked so amazing, and I managed to convince him to swap it for my copy of Theme Park World. I got a much better deal, yeah. And I just played the hell out of this game. It was so awesome. Basically, it's like another sort of management game simulation. You sort of control your own dungeon, and what I really loved about this game was you got to be the bad guys. That was like the tagline. It's good to be bad. You played all the evil guys, and you like managed your dungeon. You like built rooms, like layers where all your creatures would stay, and like libraries where your warlocks would train up, and you could build like graveyards and prisons to capture your enemies, and torture chambers where you could torture them and get information. And like the bigger and more powerful your dungeon got, like the more like evil things, evil creatures and stuff you could attract to your dungeon. And there was like a skirmish mode, which is always fun, but there was like a campaign mode, and you basically had to build a powerful dungeon and go destroy the enemies, like the good guys. Like there was always like a lord of the realm and stuff you had to take down, and sometimes your dungeon would get attacked, or you'd accidentally discover their dungeon. It was so much fun. I mean, oh my god, I love this game so much, and that makes me think, where the hell is Dungeon Keeper 3 is all I've got to say. Now, I think there was actually one in production, but I think it got cancelled, and then I think, yeah, Bullfrog kind of went bankrupt after that. I think Peter Molyneux had already left. But yeah, oh man, I would love a Dungeon Keeper 3 so much, because this game was amazing. I can't believe I forgot about this. Oh my god, such an amazing game. And like I said, I just love playing as the bad guy. There weren't enough games back then where you got to play as the... It's not enough games now where you get to play as the bad guys, but yeah, this was awesome playing the bad guys. I loved it.